Today's conversation includes mentions about suicide, so please approach this carefully. If hearing about suicide doesn't feel right for you today, please skip to another episode or return at another point in time.
Hi, Marcus.
Hello, Asami.
Welcome back to Season 5 of the Asian Mental Health Podcast. Yay to us. But honestly, this season is a special season. We're going to be bringing in international student voices and amplifying the international student experience in terms of mental health and well-being. But before we dive into those details, let's have a catch up, because did you know that the last time we were in the studio together was August 2025?
It feels like a lifetime ago.
I actually think it was a lifetime ago, honestly.
So much has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, your life has changed so much.
It honestly, well, not a lot, but like it has like significant milestones and stuff. I graduated from honors.
Yay.
So uni's
Well
done for now. I'm on my gap year, so I'm excited to just like relax, and then I'll be traveling soon.
Like
and
a
then,
real full gap year experience.
Yep. So I'm excited to
what
travel.
have you been doing like while you're in Melbourne on that gap year though?
I started a lot of running. So I started running at the start of the year. Yeah, I think that honestly takes up most of my week these days.
Running can do that.
Yeah, because like I just kind of do my run, and obviously I don't wake up early because I'm not a morning person. I'll wake up and
What time?
I'll get up at like 9. Is that late?
I'm so shocked.
Really? I thought.
Don't you start Shapes and Sounds work at 9 a.m?
No.
Not even close. You're like still asleep. Okay. Okay, so you wake up at 9.
Yeah. So then I'm usually running by like 10.
Okay.
And then, this is a non-work day as well, by the way.
It's like every day.
Well, I don't run every day. Like,
Okay.
I only run on one of my work days. Well, yeah, kind of. Anyways, run, and then it'll be like 11 or something by the time I'm done. Eat some food, shower. It'll be like 12. And then,
hang on, is that your breakfast though that you eat, or is
no?
that lunch
I always
already?
eat before I go.
Oh, yep.
So like a little snack before I run, and then afterwards I eat something because I'll be hungry. And then shower, eat, and then if it's work, then I'm working. Okay, if I'm working, I push it up an hour early, and I only do a short run on my work day.
It's okay. I know you get everything done. I was just so shocked when you said you wake up
But
at 9.
I thought I told you that before.
Yes,
I feel like,
but...
yeah. I feel like I've always made it clear that I'm not a morning person.
That's true. And you get everything done, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess.
Who knew when I was like emailing, hey Marcus, good morning, you're like still waking up.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, anyway, I'll go and do my run first.
Yeah. No, but on my non-run days though, no, on my non-work days, if I'm running, like, then like I'll eat and then I'll like massage. No,
honestly, I don't care.
I'm trying to explain like why it takes up most of my day.
Okay.
Like after I eat, then I'll like do a stretch or a massage or something, and then I'll get really sleepy, and then I'll nap, and it'll be by the time I wake up, it'll be like dinner time. And then that's it.
So you're training for like an ultra marathon.
Yeah. But I'm only running like 10Ks.
10K is far. And honestly, like, remember when you first started and you did the couch to 5K, and then now you're already doing 10Ks. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks.
huge progress. Thanks. Thanks to Shapes and Sounds.
Yeah. Thank you for your recommendations for the couch to 5.
That was good, hey?
Yeah,
and
that was really good. Yeah, the shoes are helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been running too, but my running journey has changed a lot compared to last year too.
Yeah.
Like, you know how for a long time I was training for a half marathon and
then like
twice,
the injury.
Yeah, twice I've been injured, both at pretty much the same point, like either 12 or 14 Ks. And so it's like happened twice at the same kind of time of year. August or September is always when that injury happens. It's always when the training load increases. It's always when work is busy too.
Yeah, and it's just like too much
It's
for your
too
body.
much. Yeah. And I also have noticed that anything above 10K is like I'm really quite scared of.
Really?
I
mentally?
Yeah, mentally.
Yeah.
It's like I've already decided that it's too hard for me.
Oh.
So then it's like every time I try and get past 10K, then it's like my mind has already decided before I've given myself a chance anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then what I've decided to do is like shift it away from a distance goal and instead kind of go back to basics about like trying to enjoy the process of running. Because I think when you're just doing it like 3 times a week, like for a few years, it's just like, I don't know, like it's not like you're really enjoying it. You're just like, all right, now I run. Now I go home.
It's just a thing you have to do kind of thing. Yeah.
So I think I went back to trying to enjoy it, like not looking at the watch, no time goals.
Not checking your pace.
Nothing, right? No heart rate, none of that. And just like actually looking around like, wow, that's so beautiful, like the trees. That kind of thing. So that helped. And then focusing more on form and cadence. And the idea is like to try and build up a body that would want to be able to run a half marathon. So it's not like I'm trying to reach a goal, but trying to build a body that's strong enough to withstand that level of stress and intensity and endurance, right? So it's kind of been like, I don't know, a different journey
and a different in the mindset.
Exactly, a shift in the mindset, and I think
a positive mindset.
A positive mindset is good. Right. We're getting there. We're doing our best, hey? But, oh my gosh, back to work. Let's talk about what we've been doing in terms of work. The running has been helping both of us. But at the end of last year, I would say October, we decided to run a program focusing on international student mental health and well-being. And we partnered with Embrace Multicultural Mental Health, who are very generously supporting us for this podcast season. So thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, Embrace. But let's talk about Student Changemakers. That's the name of the program. There's a whole backstory about why we called it Student Changemakers, what the program entails. But for people that are listening, you know that we are all about Asian mental health. But since 2024, we've actually been working quite closely with international students in different kind of ways. First, it was through creative arts therapy, and now through Student Changemakers. But let's talk about like why we work with international students.
Yeah.
You know?
So as we were kind of brainstorming this program, I did a little bit of research to see what kind of research was out there about international students. And the research shows, like, as what we would expect, that Asian international students do face very significant mental health challenges. A lot of the times this is much greater than their domestic counterparts, because they're not only faced with usual sort of like study kind of stresses, but also very specific stressors that relate to their identity as international students, like such as like stressing about their visas. And then there are also other cultural factors like acculturation and having stigma around mental health, discrimination, racism, etc.
And what about like specifically for international students from Asia?
Like as in what kind of stresses they face?
Yeah, or like anything distinct in the literature that points to their experiences?
I think like we have to think about like, I guess, the cultural experience of like being Asian, how that intersects with like being a student, and also specifically being a student in Australia. So there's kind of like 3 layers if you can think about it. So it's like all the different kind of stresses that come from each one of those parts kind of make up the stresses that an international student from Asia could experience. Yeah,
right.
Alarmingly, there was a study in 2023 by Swinburne University as well that did find that in amongst like the Asian international students they had interviewed, almost a quarter of them had reported some thought of suicide in the past week. And there was a report from the Coroner's Court of Victoria that did find that 78% or close to 80% of all of the international students who had died by suicide in 2021 were of Asian background. So I guess the bottom line is that the statistics show that a lot of Asian international students are struggling. So this season, we really wanted to try and address that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for framing that, or like giving context, I should say. And like they are some really difficult stats, right? And these are things that we've heard through people that we know, through our friends, but also what we can see in the literature. And also in our work, we get to peek into how mental health services are working with the Asian community. And we know that there's lots of gaps around what people know about international students too.
Definitely.
So we were like, okay, what can we do? What's something that we can do to support international students or engage them as well? And we really decided, based on our past iterations of our creative arts therapy programs, like we really thought a leadership program was the way to go, and a leadership program in the context of mental health and well-being. Like, we feel like there are lots of international students who are so actively already supporting their peers, and they're looking out for each other, and they're checking in on their friends all the time. And I think that that is true mental health and wellbeing leadership. And we really thought that, could we create a program where we invite these people to come in? We can share lots of resources. We'll get our subject matter experts in, like ex-international students who've become therapists, who are now on our Asian mental health practitioner list. Like, anyway, that's another story, but please go and check out our brand new database.
Just a plug.
Just an ad.
Yeah.
You can go to find an Asian therapist. Anyway, you can search for people who work specifically with international students, like the people that came onto our program. But we really wanted to resource international students so that they feel confident in supporting their peers. They know what services are out there. They know the best practice techniques. They also know how to take care of themselves as they look after each other. I think that was a really core theme that came out throughout the whole program. So we ran that already. We ran phase 1 in March to April.
March to April. Yep.
And this podcast season is phase 2 of this leadership program. And essentially the podcast exists so that we can amplify student voices. We can share their stories on a much bigger platform. We can take all of the group discussions that we'll tell you a bit more about and package that up in a way that will support current students, future students, and all of these support services that are looking out for students as well. So we hope that you like this season. I think we've got a lot of new voices, which is going to be really exciting. And at the end of the day, we hope that it reaches people who might be listening to the podcast so that you feel less alone in your experience as an international student, especially in Australia too. Let's talk about the program that we did run. So you'll keep hearing us saying Student Changemakers, but that's what it was called. It was a peer leadership program. It was for international students in semester 1, 2026. We were lucky enough to work with a very strong cohort of 23 people. And, oh my gosh, we had a waiting list of 55 people. Yep. That was quite stressful, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people signed up.
And Marcus had to deal with like all the, I'm sorry, the program
I'm sorry,
is full.
Can't take you for now.
You did an amazing job, by the way. We wanted to make sure that it was very clear that you didn't need any kind of mental health experience necessary. So we had some people who were studying psychology and social work, but we had lots of different degrees.
Yeah, like AI, architecture, a lot of business. I think business was the main one. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was quite an even spread.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it would be all psych, social work.
Yeah.
Wow. Any arts?
I think there was like 2 Bachelor of Arts or something.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So a really broad cohort. We just wanted to find people who were interested in learning about how they could better support their peers. We wanted people who were advocates for the community as well. And of course, to build up that strong social connection as well. And hopefully people can make friends too, which I think is like so core for mental health, right? And of course, with this podcast, we wanted to create this opportunity for industry experience. So how the podcast season ties into all of this is essentially we know that we have this platform that we can use to amplify international student voices and experiences, and not just us regurgitating information, but have the cohort be involved in the production. It's a big process that we wanted to bring people in and give industry experience to. So we created a few different roles that people can take to be a part of the podcast. Obviously, you'll hear some guests, so people who will be interviewed on the podcast to share their stories with us. But other roles that we created, things like an assistant producer. So this is a student outside of the recording room and listening to the podcast and just monitoring for messy things we can clean up, that we could clarify with a bit more info. They'll also be reviewing like episode notes and providing comments throughout as we work through the editing as well. Then we had a customer success role, which is really about taking care of all of the guests. So we've got a few visiting guests outside of the cohort and the team as well, but just making sure they know exactly what they're doing, that they have enough water, that they're comfortable. Then, of course, marketing is really important too. So we've got someone taking social media content, creating like a little story as well throughout the day, capturing not just what happens in the studio that you will see on the YouTube, but just the behind the scenes. So just someone to capture all of that and bring that experience to you as well. This season, we've got 8 episodes, including this one for you, but you'll meet a lot of new voices that we can't wait to connect you with. And remember, this is a resource that was created by international students for international students, and we are just kind of like the shell that provides the casing for everyone's voices. So are you ready, Marcus? We've had enough ranting chats.
Yep.
Although I could talk more, but
yeah,
anyway.
I could too, but for another time.
Okay, maybe for the season closer.
Yep.
Let's get into it.
Yep.
Welcome to the Asian Mental Health Podcast, brought to you by Shapes and Sounds.
One thing I wish I knew was how different the lifestyle would be because I moved from an Asian country. So the way things are done are very different here.
We have different challenges compared to what locals are facing, leaving all our support system in our home country and then navigating new life with new languages, new culture, new food.
I think that is something that people need to know, that international students face a lot of difficulties in life and they need to be supported because they're coming away from their home and
there's a lot of things that's going on that people are often ignore. They thought as long as you are not hungry, you get the money, you have a place you live in, your problem will be solved. But that's not true.
The one thing I wish I knew before coming overseas to study was the culture shock and how you have to adapt to the different cultures within the society.
What you just heard there are audio snippets from real international students, part of our cohort of Student Changemakers, our leadership program. So what we did was at the end of the first session, we sent our students a short audio story, and then we asked them to listen to it and then respond with voice memos and then send those voice memos to us. And we really asked them to just share their thoughts and their reflections and their feelings. And throughout the season, we'll listen to a lot of what they had to say throughout different episodes. But first, for context, let me just share with you the original audio story that we shared with those students. So this is what they were responding to.
The thing that stood out to me the most was how much I had to get used to the food here. So if you're like me and you had your family cook you every meal, you'll quickly realize how cooking is so important in terms of like your health and managing your finances. Sometimes food can get quite expensive. So I had to learn how to cook from scratch, like learning how to slice an onion without bawling my eyes out, or how to pan fry a chicken breast for it to be fully cooked and actually taste edible. I found the loneliness that comes with, I guess, trying to find your community here incredibly hard to cope with. And the effects can spill into other parts of your life, such as your education, your physical health. Often you find yourself in your bedroom and doing things to cope with that situation?
Initially, I think I was very excited to come here. But I think upon coming here, I think one of the first things I noticed coming from Mumbai was that where are all the people here? Particularly having like lived in suburban Sydney then, it was just very empty. It was actually quite isolating. I think that hit me at the start. I went from back in India going 6 days a week to university to going like barely, a few hours a week. And then because of that, you probably didn't get to see people as much as well. So I think that was also quite hard at the start. I think I was coping that way. Overeating, sleeping a lot. I was fairly good at that somehow at uni. If I was stressed, I would sleep. I don't think I expected to feel homesick, but I realized I ended up feeling quite homesick within those first few weeks. I would still email family and stuff and friends back in India, and just talk about it. Yeah, like it is hard, I would say. But I think I didn't want to say too much either because I didn't want them to worry about me.
I think a main challenge for me was the expectation I had placed on myself because for me to be here in Australia, it's a huge financial and emotional sacrifice for my family and for me as well. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to like succeed in every way. Like, oh, I need to do well academically and like socially as well. That expectation made me feel like I was constantly chasing my own tails. Like, no matter how much I was doing, it wasn't enough. When you're an international student, it's really easy to compare, like, oh, how easy would it have been if I had just stayed home and I didn't have to try so hard, or things were just there and ready and I didn't have to build things up from scratch.
Mm.
Yeah, well, what do you pick up on when you hear that audio?
I think the main part that I really picked up on was the second audio, the mention about like feeling really isolated and empty in Australia, I guess, compared to coming from Hong Kong. Like, although I'm not an international student, like I grew up in Hong Kong and like most of my life was spent in Hong Kong where it's like always busy. And the one thing I thought about when I was listening to that was how convenient public transport is in Hong Kong. And like even like when I was young, like because it's so convenient and like it's relatively safe at that time, like my mom would let me just go out and I was like 13, 14, just catching the public transport by myself, going out, staying out late with my friends. Whereas when we moved, public transport is not that great here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not that convenient, and you really do kind of have to rely on a car. So everywhere I went, I had to like ask my parents. My mom was like, "Oh, this train system is not that great." Like she didn't really feel that comfortable letting me on public transport alone when I first moved. So yeah, I guess like little things like that, but then it does actually have quite a big impact on you, like just in terms of like how you're able to move around a space and like not like connecting
see
with other
people.
people. Exactly. Yeah.
And like how easily you can do that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you also feel like that, like physically very quiet and dark in suburbs of Melbourne compared to Hong Kong?
I think like personally, I didn't really mind that because like I think Hong Kong was like a bit too intense for me.
Yep.
But it was just more so about like how connected I was to different things because like I was like quite far into the suburbs.
Okay.
So it's like there's like not that many shops. Yeah, like the closest Westfield was like 30 minutes. So it's like
By car? Oh.
Yeah, like
oh wow. Yeah.
car and train is like pretty much the same.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's not just outside and not
No.
just the convenience of it all.
No, and
right?
everything shuts so early here. I feel like that was a very big shock to me. Like in Hong Kong, it's like everything stays open late every night. But now it's like everything closes by like 5 or like 3. Like you can't find it.
3.
Or like
Yeah.
coffee shops, it's like everything's shut by 3 and it's like, oh, like you can't like just go and sit somewhere with your friend kind of thing.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that they really hit on all the culture shock / culture shocks, right? I thought the part about Yitong talking about the cooking,
Yeah.
and how to cook, and like essentially learning how to become an adult
Yeah.
while you're going through this experience of migration, and how challenging that would be as well, right?
Like, I feel like it might sound very like surface level, but like these things really build up, and then it can actually have such a big impact on your life, and like how competent you feel, how confident you feel, how connected you feel with other people. So yeah, definitely.
And it's at such a young time in your life too. It's
exactly.
not like a migration choice in your adult
Yeah.
life when you know how to cook chicken.
Yeah.
You know the internal
If
temperature.
it's not raw. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those voices that you heard, that was Itang, Sanchana and Nacha, but they are practitioners on our Asian mental health practitioner list that we mentioned earlier as well. Now it's a wonderful database that Marcus and I cried. I think we cried, essentially. Internally we cried. Anyway.
It's finally working. Yep, it's got a new filter system.
Yeah, so you can
it's
find
just
a
beautiful.
therapist. It's wonderful. Please check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. But, okay, so we asked these practitioners, some of them are international students who stayed on to live here as well. So we asked them to reflect on their own student journey. But now that was the audio that we sent to the students in our leadership program. So let us listen to one of the students that reacted to that audio.
After hearing the experiences of the other students, I thought how much I resonated with all the experiences talked about. So, food was a big aspect, learning to just live on my own and figuring out how to use the air fryer, the kitchen stove, and what seasonings are good for pantry staples and all that stuff. And also, this feeling of loneliness that I really experienced badly on my first year moving here. So, at the time, I was living in a student resident, and even if there were so many people around me, I felt so alone because I really missed my family and just being with them all the time. It was definitely not a feeling I was used to. And this loneliness really spiraled because I put so much pressure on myself to look okay, feel okay, do well in uni. But eventually, instead of doing well, it took a toll on my mental health. And I was crashing out and I was isolating myself because I felt so afraid of the things that I could not control. I was struggling at uni because I felt so homesick and my grades sometimes would not be the grades that I wanted. And so it became a self-fulfilling prophecy that I wouldn't do well in university, and it really took a hit on my confidence. As international students, I feel like we definitely move to another country with the dreams, hopes, and expectations that we'll do so well. And we put this pressure on ourselves that when we don't hit the benchmark, it all comes crashing down and we feel frustrated that we're not the ideal versions we want to be of ourselves.
I really liked what they said about the self-fulfilling prophecy and how much, again, we don't want to go peak performance-y, but it's so interesting how much we can convince ourselves of different realities. And how that cascades, like if you're not eating well, if you're not sleeping well, if you feel stress, and then that internal dialogue shifts, and then you just kind of keep perpetuating that, and it gets harder and harder and harder to break that cycle. That's I can completely resonate with that experience too.
Yeah, me too. And I think like what really resonated with me in this as well was, I guess, being able to really relate to the academic stress the student was mentioning. But from what they were saying, like, I guess the stakes are so much higher because there is, I guess, like the pressure of moving across the world and studying somewhere else, like knowing that your family had put so much time and effort and like money into allowing you to have a better education. I feel like, yes, international students, domestic students, all students face academic pressures, but the stakes are so much more different. And I think that, like that kind of message really resonated with me.
Yeah, that the stakes are higher, as you said, right?
Exactly.
And let's not forget how much more it costs to study as an international student compared to a domestic student as well, right? Okay, let's hear from another student.
Honestly, hearing those stories felt really familiar to me. And a lot of the things that he talked about were also things that I've personally experienced. Before coming to Australia, studying overseas has been the biggest dream of mine. Always wanted to go and explore the world and experience different cultures. And I think just live somewhere differently for a while. Like, that's always something that I really wanted. So when I eventually got here, reality was obviously very different, right? The first couple weeks were pretty rough. I hadn't known anyone yet. I didn't have any family here. So everything suddenly felt really quiet and things got lonely pretty quickly. I had to relearn what to do on my own. Cooking, cleaning, managing my life. I think overall just adjusting to a whole new environment felt pretty overwhelming. Last year, there was this period that I went through. There were things happening with my family back home. I was facing a lot of academic pressure, and my personal life wasn't going very well either. So I just remember spending a lot of time in my own room, just locked up, right? I'd play games, I'd watch shows, I'd fall asleep, basically just rotting away every single day to pass the time. And then eventually, even things like cooking started to feel really exhausting. So I know my family made a lot of sacrifices for me to be here. I think because of that, I sometimes feel this really weird pressure to have to make the most out of it, right? Like I should be enjoying every single thing. But then at the same time, I was still struggling. I was still feeling really lonely. So it created this really weird guilt for me. Like I was guilty that I wasn't happy to be where I am every day.
Yeah, well. Do you know what I really resonate with this in this reflection is this idea of like you have this dream of doing something and then the reality of it kind of hits a few weeks or a few months later. Like this was not during a period of study, but after high school and kind of between uni. This is another story in itself. But I went to Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to move away from Melbourne. I thought that I was going back to Tokyo, to my homeland, and that I would be like welcome back and I would have like this amazing experience. I'd like built up this story about me in Tokyo, but the reality was so different, you know? Like one thing I remember was trying to work out my health insurance in Japan. One, it's all in Japanese. Two, in Japan, everything is in paper. So it's like so cumbersome. And three, like even now, I don't really understand insurance. I'm really trying, as a grown-up, I'm really trying to understand insurance. But it was so complicated trying to understand health insurance and what I was signing up for, what I was paying, what I wasn't paying, what was covered, what was not. And just like that mental load was so heavy that just really weighed down on my experience. But then like not being able to find things in the supermarket or like not understanding how, I don't even know what I was looking at, like council rates or something, like all these things that you just don't know, but they're like the reality of living overseas, right? And that was so stressful. And then I was like, oh my God, it's just easier to live back in Melbourne. And then I would come back and then I'd be like, actually, I want to go back to Tokyo. And then I'd go to Tokyo. But it's like the reality never quite matches your expectation. And then the disappointment that you feel in that gap is
like kind of grows.
Yeah. I think that's like, I don't know, it's the thing that you tell yourself, right? Yeah. I don't know. What about you?
I think like the idea of guilt and like feeling like, again, I feel like knowing that your parents have put so much effort into like giving you this opportunity, it's hard to not feel guilty, I think, like of if you're, say, like, as like the student mentioned, like if you're not really trying to enjoy or maximize every opportunity, like I feel like it's easy to have that sense of guilt. So yeah, I feel like sometimes it is hard to like not like think out of that mindset and be like, actually I need rest and that's the most important thing I need right now.
Yeah.
But then you feel guilty about rest, and obviously this has, I feel like obviously influences from capitalism and like the system we live in, but that's again conversation for next time. But yeah.
And like that part about I have to enjoy everything, not just like, oh, let me make the most out of my experience, but let me make sure that I'm like loving it as well.
Like this is the life I expected and I'm hitting every checkbox that I wanted to, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to live with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
For this next exercise, what we did was we asked the students to send us a voice memo about, like, if you were listening to that first audio with the therapists that we shared, how would you then support them as a friend, right? And here are some of their responses.
And so if I were their friend, I would tell them to take the pace understanding yourself slowly. There's really no pressure, and that pressure just exists within us. You're doing so many amazing things, just moving abroad, transitioning, and having to meet new people. So it's definitely a lot on your plate. No one, not even yourself, can fathom the effort and the challenges you've conquered. So remember to keep the pace because eventually you'll figure out and you'll get that rhythm back. And you'll just be surprised to see how much you've grown a couple years down the line.
That's honestly so beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I
I
love-
think like in moments like that, it's hard to remember things like that. But like, yeah, I think like everyone can kind of give themselves a bit more grace sometimes. And like that kind of reminder is important, even though it can be hard in those moments of struggle.
Yeah. It's like you need to write it down or something, right?
Yeah.
Because you can say it when you're feeling okay.
Exactly.
And then when you're not, it's like you can never think
Yeah,
of this.
exactly.
So you have
It's like,
to
how do you
write it down
remind
some-
that?
Yeah, how do you
How do you
remember?
really believe that? Because
Yeah.
you can say it, but then not really believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't it jarring when you're not well and then you try to think like, all right, just got to keep going.
Yep. This will pass kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's hard to think like that.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
have to, don't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah. Caveat, sometimes. Okay, here's another student's response.
I probably wouldn't try to give a lot of advice right away. Sometimes when someone is struggling, what they really need is just someone who will sit there, who will listen to them, and who won't judge them, I guess. I try to check in with them regularly. Just invite them out for small things, Go grab a coffee together, grab a meal together, go for short walks together. Just random things that you can think about. From my experience, when you're in that kind of headspace, even just leaving your own room can be pretty difficult. So if you have someone who's gently there, just pushing you, encouraging you, just, being there for you, I think, spending time with you, it can make all the difference. So yeah, I think the most important thing is just to be present for them. Be patient with them and let them know, just let them know that someone cares. Someone's there for them. They're not alone.
I love that.
Me
It's
too.
like, there's nothing you need to offer except for your own humble presence.
Yep.
Right?
Just the comfort of being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting someone know, like, you don't have to do anything. I see you. I'm going to help you.
Exactly.
But not like, I'm going to actively help you, but I'm going to
Yeah.
be here.
Yep.
I really like that reflection.
Me too.
I think that sentiments like this is something that we already know, but hearing this has really cemented it for me too, that I think that the international student cohort, so much of the time, they're already doing everything that they can to look out for their peers. Everyone knows that the experience is challenging at times, so they're looking out for each other and they're really wanting to support and help their friends. And that's like another part-time job that they're doing as they study here too, right? And so this season, we're going to dive into all of the nuances around that. We're going to talk about the international student experience. We're going to talk about how people are looking out for themselves, how you might, how therapists would suggest people look out for their peers as well. We'll bring in lots of points of advice throughout the season too. I think for us as an Asian mental health podcast, I think it's really important to also talk about the nuance between the international student cohort and then some of the Asian diaspora, the ABCs or Asian Australians that were born here, that grew up here, and how different
the cultures
that
are
is.
so different.
The cultures are so different, right?
Yeah.
You're like 1.5, would you say?
I think
Generation
so.
wise.
Yeah, because I'm not first, but I'm
No.
also not
But you were born
second.
here, yeah?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
So it would be, so it would be 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like our whole team are kind of in that nuancy because I came here when I was 4, but I'm not an international student.
Yeah.
But nor do I really resonate with like pure
pure ABC.
ABC culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you?
No, I definitely don't.
Okay. Nothing against the ABCs,
yeah,
obviously.
but it's just like a fact, like I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a short break, but after the break, we're going to introduce our other, maybe like 1.5-year. I don't want to place a identity on this person, but you're going to meet someone else who's going to talk more about the program as well. Our very, very special guest who will bring her beautiful energy to this season opener. So let's take a short break.
Yay.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome, Daleney.
Yay!
Okay. Who are you is a very difficult question, so we're going to introduce you and then you fill in the gaps, okay?
Yeah.
But Daleney, you were the facilitation support at Shapes and Sounds for this leadership program, and you still are. You're doing your psychology honours.
Yeah.
You do a lot of volunteering. These are all the things I know about you, by the way. You were at UMSU, which is a student union.
Yeah, I was with UMSU International.
International.
I was like an ISA, so International Student Ambassador, because both international and domestic students could be one. So, yeah.
Okay. So you were ex-UMSU. I also know that you like steak. That's something that we share. And you like small things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are small things?
What do you mean by small things?
Okay. So remember when I went on my holiday and I brought everyone back a present and it was like little pasta?
Oh.
I've never seen someone so happy to see like something I brought back from a holiday. That just like made my year, maybe.
Yeah. I do like small things, like little trinkets and stuff.
Trinkets, yeah.
Yeah, I love to go to like art markets, especially to like literally look out for like small things and things I could just put around on my desk or like on the fridge. Yeah, I love
and it's
that.
like a smaller sized thing, right? Like it was like a packet of pasta and it was proportionally all accurate but tiny.
Yeah.
So it's like it's got to be like that, right? Okay. And so that's the small things, but what about steak?
Oh my god, I love steak. Yeah, I do like my steak medium rare.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Even better if I have like a side to it, so like a sauce or like
What
fries.
flavor sauce?
I really like mushroom sauce.
Me too.
Yeah.
You like steak too?
No, I like mushroom sauce.
What about what cut of steak?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like my go-to is probably just a Scotch fillet.
Wow,
it's like,
fancy. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's you, Daleney. But is that a fair judgment? Like, are there other parts that we've missed to this story?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Tell us about your experience of your role at Student Changemakers, because you did a wonderful job welcoming people in. I feel like that is such an important job. And then, of course, you helped Marcus with the evaluation as well. But tell us about how you found the program from your end.
Yeah, so I found the program really great because I had the privilege to like listen to a lot of people's experiences and their unique stories. And I feel like it was very touching to see how everyone came together to share their own stories.
Yeah.
And they even became friends in the end. So that really made me feel like it was very heartwarming. I'd say.
For sure.
How cool was it when we went down after the first session? When we had to kick everyone out because the room was closing. And we packed up and then we went downstairs and everyone was out in the laneway just hovering, chatting with one another.
They're like friends.
We were stressing out that we'd run out of time, but I feel like we did an amazing job creating a place where people could actually make friends. It's so important, hey? Yeah. Let's talk about what we actually did in the leadership program. One part of it was all the trainings around leadership, but a big part was these big discussions that we had with Butcher's papers, so people could kind of brainstorm and share ideas and answer questions. But let's bring out the Butcher's paper, shall we? Because this will probably help to describe what exactly I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So we can do some ASMR with the paper.
30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a little bit of...
Okay. What we're doing right now is we're just unfolding some butcher's paper. So obviously it's very big.
There's
our students wrote their reflections on these, and we had a whole bunch of focus group discussion questions that we came up with based on our literature review that we wanted to kind of test in the space. We wanted to see if they were true, if they were not true, how students would describe things using their own language, because we feel like that's very, very important. And for us, capturing that with our culturally responsive mental health lens. So let's talk about the very, very first question from session 1 that we asked the students. And then you can both share the reflections that are written on these pages. But the first question was this: what does being well or unwell look like in your community? And what does it mean to you specifically as an international student? Okay. So maybe as you're talking, describe what you're seeing on the butcher's paper and then, share your reflections too.
So we've got 2 sheets of butcher's paper from 2 of the groups here. This one right in front of me says things like having a safe space, feeling comfortable and acknowledged, doing exercise. In kind of like the center in like bubble, it says physical and mental health. So I guess for this group, feeling well isn't just like emotional or mental health. It's kind of like physical health. So I like the idea of like holistic kind of well-being.
There was a lot of agreement on how your physical health affects the mental health. And in a lot of Asian communities, that would show up in, for example, their tone or energy. Because checking in with like, are you okay, like mentally, isn't really normalized. So they would often, those expressions would show up physically instead.
Or like, have you been eating well? Like, you look pale, or like kind of more comments around what physically you're presenting.
Like, are you mentally doing okay, kind of thing.
Yep.
Also other things like boundaries, having a sense of belonging. It says you and environments. I can't remember what that really means unless you remember, Daleney.
Yeah, I think most of the discussion about having a sense of belonging was more so about like being well means that they belong somewhere and have that safe space, which was emphasized in other groups as well. So, for example, in the other butcher's paper, there's like a section about like culture and different expressions of concern.
Got it. What else?
I can see here like there's also like kind of words in their own language as well. Like there's one that has a translation here. It just says bad luck or when things are not under control. So I'm assuming that's kind of like that cultural interpretation of being unwell is like being faced with bad luck or like having things not under control. I guess it's kind of like ties into this idea of like fate, and I think that's really interesting how in different cultures like being well can look so differently. It's like being well isn't just necessarily like your own personal like bad things, but it can be like a sort of very environmental thing as well.
Like it's not just an individualistic experience of like, I did this and therefore I'm now well. And there's also this other word, I think it's a Tagalog word, pakikisama, and essentially there's a translation under it that says well-being as experienced communally. And the idea of like I guess in collectivistic cultures or in interdependent cultures, everything you do is kind of like relational and like related to how other people react and like how you interact with other people as well. So I think that is very interesting to me, how well-being is not just a you thing. It's like how you and your community are doing. That's beautiful. Anything that surprised you or made you think differently about something from this particular discussion?
I think from my end, I did hear from someone talking about a metaphor of a double-edged sword. So on one side, mental health is kind of like a mask. So to show that you're coping, especially to your family back home. And then on the other side, it's kind of like a defense mechanism kind of thing, where it's protective and it allows you to, I guess, cope without feeling too overwhelmed. So there's like two sides to that.
Yeah, wow. I think I remember that metaphor too. So visual, hey? That was a quick wrap up of the first question. Obviously, there's so much more we can talk about, but thank you both for your reflections. Let's talk about the next question, which is really about risk factors for international students. And the question that specifically we asked was, from your observation and or experience, what are some things that negatively impact the well-being of your international student peers? So should we grab some of the butcher's paper from question 2?
Some ASMR again.
Okay, they're very big pieces of paper, everyone.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so it says displays of help seeking. So this was risk factors, was it? So like, what are the things that are bad?
Negatively impacting the well-being.
So they've said mental health is very stigmatized. So like asking for help equals weakness. And that showing that you need help is uncommon. However, family can be a protective factor for some. Also says social pressure, that there's a social pressure that you should just be stronger. So I guess kind of relating to that top point about how asking for help can be a weakness. And the final point is that mental health services aren't
It's not covered by the government in some countries.
Yeah. So I guess
Oh.
like, access to mental health services back home might not have been that easy. Yeah. Which, that's an interesting point I wouldn't have really thought about.
Yeah.
How
so
the
not like-
experience
Oh, you
back
go.
home translates to how they then see services here, I
That's so
guess, is kind
true.
of like the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a huge discussion point that I got was because of the stigma, like not being able to openly seek help or open up about their own struggles, especially to their family, because they would be seen as like weak or like incapable of handling the stress, you know. And then because it's already uncommon to seek help, many services are not like provided because you have to pay extra. And then like a lot of international students would then evaluate whether it's something they actually need. It's like the stigma plus the accessibility.
Yeah, given that the finances are, many of them might already be struggling with finances. I remember one of the students in one of the groups, I can't remember if it was this specific question we were discussing, but I've heard from a few students mention that they really want to know what the services are going to do for them, because they want to know if they're going to get their money's worth out of it. Because like they want to be spending their money where they know something tangible will come out of it. So I think, like that kind of ties into the idea of like transparency with services. Like, what are you actually going to do to me is kind of like the question that some of the students were like, I guess, had in their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
That's so fair, right?
yeah. And even like kind of like, what is good therapy? It's like when I say like a student goes to therapy and they go through the 15-minute session, like maybe they might feel better, but it's like, to them, it's like, is this what I'm supposed to be getting out of it? Is this like everything I could get out of the $200 or whatever I paid?
Yeah. And you touched on finances too. I think it's not written on this page, but I feel like that was quite a big theme that emerged, like the financial pressures.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
risk factors, right?
Yeah. I guess like a lot of them had mentioned like struggles. Financial struggles were kind of like the starting point, or like not the starting point, but like the initial barrier to all the different issues that they had. Like financial struggles prevented them from like accessing community, accessing friends, accessing services. And it's that second step that then led to poor mental health. So I guess like if they had like the finances covered, like it wouldn't have progressed that far. It's kind of like the impression I got.
Yeah. And even makes me think like your Mikey pass, like now everything is free at the moment, which is great. But even like that costs a lot. So what you're saying, like if you're living somewhere in the suburbs of Melbourne and then having to commute, but that costs, you know, taking Uber, obviously that's more
so
I don't
expensive.
know, it all compounds, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Someone did say that a huge thing is time because of that financial pressure that kind of like makes everything like snowball into a problem. They don't have the time to socialize with other people because they have to work. They're worried about not having enough money to, like, for example, get groceries. And then they can't hang out with friends because eating out costs so much. And talking about public transport as well, when public transport wasn't free, international students have to pay the full price without the concession. So that kind of adds onto every single thing that they have to worry about.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, hey? And it's like these life stresses. Often unis and services think so much about, it's the academic pressure. But I think that the picture that we really saw is how much like all of these life factors impact well-being.
Yeah, it's like so many of them, like you said, that maybe like the anxiety or like the feelings of loneliness aren't the initial or like the main concerns at the start, but it was more like they really needed help with where can I get groceries, or like where can I play sports, where can I do this. It was like really basic everyday life things that weren't being resolved or they weren't getting support on, that then led to like these more serious consequences down the track. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for just clearly articulating that too. Tell me about the next question, which was really about protective factors, right? The question is, what are some things that help you to thrive as an international student? I really like this question. Okay, opening up page number 3.
Page number 3.
Okay, talk to me. Anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I think the most prominent thing that pops out is food in a heart shape, as well as music. Yeah, in capitals. As
and
well
then the
as
heart
music.
emoji.
Yeah.
No, what is this? Heart eyes emoji.
Heart eyes, yeah.
Like inside the love heart.
Yeah. There's a lot of other little drawings as well. For example, there's a tree next to thrive, with little dot points with community and people. Another thing that pops out is adaptability with a biceps drawing.
Like growing the muscle, growing into the experience.
And we also see, like, number 1, identify our own problem. Then number 2, ask for help.
Yeah, right. Like asking for help helps people to be strong and to thrive here. Okay.
Yeah. I think something that really popped out to me when we were discussing these protective factors was the importance of community. Like what I heard was that they needed a lot of peer support, especially because there are so many unique struggles that international students face that needs to be like shared, and people, they want that connection among their peers to form a community, someone who understands and someone who can relate to your experiences.
Yeah, and to just check in on them, right? Reminds me, there was a period in my life where I lived alone in the city when I was going to uni. This is like, my timeline's very complicated. It was like, I think before I went to Tokyo. Anyway, I started working part-time at this restaurant, and I made friends who are still now very, very good friends of mine. And everyone was an international student from Singapore or Malaysia. And we would just like literally work, uni, hang out. And I just remember every day someone would send me a message to be like, what are you having for dinner? You know? And it's so simple, but it was like a lifeline to be like, actually, I don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, okay, well, would you like to, I'm just downstairs, like, let's go and eat something. And so every day it's not really like, oh my God, let's hang out, let's go for coffee. It's not hanging out. It was literally like survival about like, we're going to eat together. We're just going to make sure you're still alive, and we're going to work, and then we're going to go to uni. And I think how it says like food there in capitals. I know everyone likes food, but I think it's also like
It has a very tangible effect on your life. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Even though
sharing
it's
food.
just food. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't
Definitely.
have to be like the best steak frite
Yeah.
of the world.
There's
but
something comforting.
there's something comforting about
Yeah.
eating with other people. Yeah. Okay. Summary of our initial impressions from session 1 is what the dot point says.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But essentially, for me, what I really took away, which I kind of already deeply knew, is something that I feel sometimes a bit frustrated about is how in the mental health conversation, there's so much that we know about the risk factors about being an international student. There's so much doom and gloom. The risks of suicide are extremely high. All of these stats that we get and the bad stories that we hear. But I feel like we're missing the stories of people's strengths, the stories of that adaptability. These young people are like growing and changing and adapting to a brand new environment, making a whole brand new group of friends as well. And in our program, we really wanted to make sure that we had a balance between what's difficult, but also like what makes you survive here. Like,
Yeah.
how can we promote that and how can we help that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
What about you? Session 1 impressions.
Session 1.
Yeah.
Like a
if you
month
can-
ago now.
Oh my God, that's so long ago.
More than a month ago, actually. I think definitely what you mentioned with like how everyone became friends and how open they were to community. I think that was something that shocked me because I just think about me going to a complete new group and I'd be like, would I be this open and like, I don't know, like extroverted, I guess, with new people that I actually don't know. So I think that definitely really stuck with me. And yeah, like kind of the point you mentioned with how willing they were to like just really support their peers already and like how much they wanted to really be a leader in this space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was very beautiful to see.
That's so true, hey? Like how willing people were to step into the convo. Yeah. What about you, Daleney?
I think the main takeaway that I had after session 1 was how everyone was so, I guess, brave to come out of their comfort zone, like with what both of you said, meeting a new community and wanting to, I guess, take something out of it and advocate for not only like themselves, but for the people around them. I think that's very amazing.
Yeah,
so amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Imagine if we were doing the program. We'd be like, who are these people? I think it has a lot to do with you, Daleney. You're so welcoming.
Yeah.
Not that I saw you downstairs, but I just imagine that you would be very welcoming, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
So thanks for your facilitation. But for everyone listening, that was session 1 of our leadership program. We had 2 more sessions that followed. So we will talk more in depth about the themes that emerged in those sessions throughout this podcast season. But I don't know, let's talk about what's coming up, hey? What can we expect in future episodes? I've taken your line.
Yes, should I do that then?
So you and I swap. Like, who will we hear from, Marcus?
So throughout this new season, you'll be hearing a lot of So throughout the season, you're going to meet a lot of new voices. You're going to hear from the students who are part of our leadership program and hear from them directly about what it's like to study here and be an international student. But also more importantly, what's missing from services and how we can all think about supporting them better.
Thank you for that. Thank you for... Sorry, I swapped roles.
That's okay.
Last minute. You can find us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Just Shapes and Sounds. Don't forget about the Just. When you listen to this episode, please could you subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review on any app, your favorite podcast app, because that's the bit that really helps other people to find us. And please share this episode with your friends, especially if you know of or if you are an international student, especially for this season, because we think word of mouth really helps to destigmatize mental health within Asian communities. Like, you might not want to talk about mental health, but you could just share this episode with them or this season, and we would love for you to do that. Oh my gosh, that's so sad though that that's the end of this episode. That was so much fun to have you in the studio with us. And thank you for listening, and thank you both for obviously all your work in the program and at Shapes and Sounds in general, and for joining me on this podcast. Well done, Daleney, episode 1.
Yay, first podcast.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like okay only? Or like
Okay.
I think it's
Not
okay
bad.
only.
really okay only? That's quite low.
Yeah. Oh no.
The Asian Mental Health Podcast is a production from Shapes and Sounds, and it's made on the stolen lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. This show is... Sorry, now I'm...
Wait, what happened?
I was just thinking of my independence there. Okay, so I'm just going to say the last one. All thoughts...
Now that you've laughed at it.
Now... Okay. All thoughts and ideas you hear are independently ours and our guests.